Today I'm going to show you how I made these hair bows. I've made these using a glitter fabric, a satin ribbon for the top loops, and these gorgeous oval pearl embellishments. The bow I'm going to be making today is going to be like a minty green colour, so I've gone for these minty green pearl embellishments. As you can see, they've got a gorgeous iridescent sheen on them. And these, you get a pack of 10 like this from AliExpress, and they were around £1.60 to £1.70 a pack of 10, which is really cheap. When you look at them, they've got a gorgeous sheen, iridescent finish to them. They look far more expensive than that, and they really finish off the hair bows brilliantly. You could get away with these for a wedding or a christening or another special occasion. They really do look gorgeous when they're finished. So to go with my mint green embellishment, I'm going to use this fabric. It's a cotton backed glitter fabric, and it's got greens, blues, silvers. It's got lots of different colours in it, but I thought that went really well with that pearl. And the ribbon I'm using is also a mint green satin. So you can see these three together. I think they'll go really well together. So they're the colours and fabrics I'm using today. I'll just pop them aside. So first of all, I'm going to draw on the back of my fabric using a bow template. The bow templates I'm using today, sorry about all the pen marks on them, that happens, are these, I believe this bow shape was called the Beauty Bow, and I got this from eBay, but there's also a website on here, Glitter on the Wall. So if you go on that website and search for Beauty Bow, that's where you can probably get this set. I got the whole set with all the different sizes in, but the one I'm using today is the sort of medium size, I'd say. The tails, when the finished bow is made, will be around 3.5 inches across the tails, 8.5 or 9 centimetres look across the tails. So I'm going to draw around my templates onto my fabric. For a black backed fabric, I advise you use one of these. That says no sharpening mark disappearing pen. I also got this off AliExpress. It's basically like a waxy kind of chalk, and you sharpen it by just pulling this string, and it's like paper. Mine's a bit broken actually in the middle, but these are brilliant for drawing around your templates on a dark backed fabric. Because obviously I usually use just a black pen to draw around my templates, but obviously if you've got a dark backed fabric, you're not going to be able to see the pen. So these are really useful to have. So I'm just drawing around my template. And then also the same fabric for the tails. I'm trying to get that as close as possible so I don't waste too much fabric. I really love this colour fabric, so I certainly don't want to waste any of this one. I don't remember where I got this glitter fabric from. I think that was probably AliExpress as well, but it could have been from either Eliza Henry or eBay, because they're really the only places I sort of shop for my craft stash. Right, once you've drawn around those templates, you then need to cut that out. When you cut it out, I advise you cut just inside the line. That way when you've made the bow, you won't see any of this white mark. Although it says as it's disappearing, probably does wipe off, but it's always good practice anyway to cut inside where you've drawn onto it. So just inside that chalk mark, as you can see, I'm cutting that out. So here are the pieces cut out, and as you can see, cutting inside of the chalk line, that don't leave you with any white marks on the back. And the next job you need to do is to take your satin ribbon. I've already cut a length to 14 centimeters round about, and then grab a lighter and just heat seal those ends just to prevent any fraying. And then fold that piece in half and just fold a line halfway at the top. So I folded it in half and I'm just pushing down here to get a nice crease, and that will mark where your centre is to be used as a guide. Now this is a single satin ribbon. As you can see, it's got a sheen on one side and it's more matte on the other. You may be using a double-sided satin, but if you are using a single-sided satin like myself, make sure that the shiny side or the sheen side is on the outside when you come to making this circle. So we're now going to bring these two ends together in a circle shape. So just overlap that a little bit, around half a centimetre, just like that. And then using a lighter, just heat those edges to bond them together. I don't recommend using hot glue to make this join here, because if you do, you can't then get your needle through. Once the hot glue is on there, it's really hard to push a needle through the hot glue. So if you just bond these edges together with a lighter, that's much more easier. But once you're happy that that's stuck well, you need to take a needle and cotton. I've got a piece here with a knot at the end, and you need to bring this crease down to meet where you've joined it at the bottom. So this crease in line with where you've joined it here, and we're going to sew in our pinch. Now you could do this bit by hand if you're confident. To make a pinch by hand, you'll just fold it up in the middle, then this side down, and then this side down, and then you can sew that through the middle or wrap a piece of cotton around it. But I find it a little bit more neater if you just use a needle and cotton and sew it in. To do that, you need to push your needle in from the top downwards, about 2 millimeters in from that edge to begin with. Pull that all the way through to the knot. Now we're going to make 6 stitches all together, so you want to space them out so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 2 millimeters in from the edge again. So using this crease as your guide, bring the needle up. So that's number 2, and then in, that's number 3, and then up, number 4, and then down, number 5, and then 2 millimeters in from that edge. Oh, where are we? And there you go, number 6. So you should have something that looks like this. I'm just going to turn that round so I can pull this end, and when you pull this end you get that pinch. Once you're happy that that's tight enough, you can then wrap your cotton around the centre a few times to hold that into place. And then on the underside of the bow, I'm just going to put a couple of stitches in there to finish that off. I think I've used this to unblock a tube of glue, and I think that's why it's not going through very well. So it feels a bit rough on that needle. Yeah, definitely use that to unblock a glue nozzle at some point. So yeah, I'm happy that that's now not going anywhere, so I'm going to cut off that excess cotton. Pop that needle somewhere safe so I don't prick myself. So there you have your little bit of satin ribbon for the top loops. So first of all, now we need to make this bow. So I'm just going to grab my hot glue gun. You want to pop a little bit of glue on these little tabs at each end and bring them into the centre, lining them up evenly. And just hold them there for a few seconds to make sure that the glue is taken. So that's the bottom loops made. Now we're going to layer these loops onto the tails. So I'm going to pop some glue into the centre of these tails and line those loops up on there. Make sure they're nice and straight. Making sure that the tails have got an even length either side, like so. And then this little satin bow is going to go in the middle of that. So I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on the underside of my little satin bow. And I'm going to pop that into the centre of my glitter bow. Like so. Now the next thing will be to line the clip. As you've seen in most of my videos, I do like to line my hair clips. That's the finish I prefer, but that is optional. You don't have to do that. I like to line my clip with a matching ribbon to match the bow. I didn't have a 10mm wide ribbon in mint, so I've taken a piece of the satin ribbon, the 38mm wide satin ribbon. As you can see, I've done this before, and I'm going to cut about a 10mm wide strip. It needs to be 10mm wide by around 11cm. Obviously I'm now doing this by eye because I've done it so many times. I can roughly guess now the length I need. Now this edge was the edge of the ribbon already, and this is the raw edge that I've just cut. So I'm going to take a lighter and I'm going to seal that raw edge just to prevent any fraying. Oh, I dropped it. So this is now going to be the piece of ribbon that I'm going to use to line my clip. It doesn't have to be amazingly neat because you don't really notice it much, but I just found that this does work. If you haven't got a 10mm wide ribbon to match the bow, to do this I think is quite a good method. You'll see why in a second, because it really doesn't show that you've cut that off from a wider ribbon. Fold that piece over. So there, as you can see, you can't tell I've cut that from a piece of ribbon. That looks absolutely fine. You're only going to see this piece here because this is now going to be glued to the bow anyway. So along the top of this clip I'm just going to pop a strip of glue, and I'm going to attach that to the underside of my hair bow. You will also notice I always use these double prong clips. They are one of my favourite ones to use. My little girl's got fine silky hair and I find that these hold in really well. Obviously if you make a bigger bow you might want to use a longer clip, but these 45mm ones for the medium clips are just perfect. So that's the clip on there. Now again, for the centre of the bow I didn't have any 10mm wide matching ribbon, so I'm also going to cut a strip for my centre from the ribbon I've already got. And I'm going to use a lighter just to heat seal all the way around the edge where I've just cut. You won't see this piece because this is actually going to be covered with the pearl. You could put a glitter strip in the centre, which would actually, if you put a glitter strip in the centre here, that would finish the bow off nicely. But as we're using the pearl embellishment, this will do fine because you're not going to see the centre. So once you've heat sealed all around that strip that you've cut off, pop a bit of glue on there and open the bow up, pop that into the centre, bring that around your bow, and glue it back down onto the underside. Careful not to burn yourself. I'm just going to remove that excess glue. Oh, you do get a lot of stringy bits of hot glue, but that's normal. So there you have, I'm just going to reshape that satin ribbon where I've just wrapped that around the centre. There you have the finished bow shape. And now just to add the embellishment in the centre, I just need to grab my glue. This is the one I use for my embellishments. It's called gemstone glue and it's made by Hemline. You can also get gem tack, which I've had before, which is quite good, but this one I bought from my local supermarket. I've had it absolutely ages, as you can see by the state of it, and it works brilliantly. So you need to take your gem, and on the underside, as you can see, I've already started trying to get some glue out because this is taking a while to come out today, which is not what you need when you're trying to make a video. Here we go. So still not coming out. This is why my needles are sticky, because this is what I use them for. Try and block the end of my glue. And there you go. I'm going to leave a gap in the middle. You'll see why in a second. I'm not putting any glue right at the top and the bottom here because that's only going to sit on the centre of the gem. So I'm just putting the glue around sort of this area. Oh, there's a nice big bit. Right. And in the centre piece, I'm going to dab a little bit of my hot glue. The reason being is this glue takes around a good 24 hours to fully set. So I don't want to put that on there and then set it to one side because that chance that one of the kids will probably grab it and knock it off. So therefore I leave a little gap in the middle and I use a little bit of hot glue and pop it onto my bow. That way the hot glue will hold that into place while the gemstone glue sets. So I'm just going to hold that on there for a second to make sure that the hot glue has taken it enough to hold it. Yeah, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. And there is your finished hair bow. I love that colour. I think that's probably one of my favourite colours, the mint green. And as you can see, that goes really well with that gorgeous glitter. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you've got any questions, pop them into the comments below. And I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.